Okay. I said when I got my tea I was going to start, and that is what I'm going to do. Here's what we're doing today. On this game that I've been showing a few times, I've got a dude, and I can move him around, and it's running at a higher frame rate thanks to the fact that the other day we did VBOs for the meshes, and we're not running them in immediate mode anymore. However, you will note that as he moves, he does not animate. That's not very good. People aren't going to pay 25 cents for our game if the guy doesn't animate. It's not professional. So we need an animation system. I do not have an animation system in this programming language. However, I wrote the animation system for the witness, and we're just going to port it over. It's a full skeletal animation system. And so I'm going to do it piece by piece, and I'm going to stream all the pieces. So we'll at least talk through it. And if you kind of want to know how a skeletal animation system in a video game works, then you may come to know that, I guess. Okay. You know what? I don't want to maybe introduce the whole idea. Let's just go really fast. So in the stuff that we have talked about so far, so we have a mesh. Where's the mesh? Triangle mesh. It's got, as you saw in the VBO stream, geometry and stuff. One of the things it has is a skeleton info. Skeleton, where is that? So, the way that meshes are generally animated in games, or there's actually multiple things that can be layered, but if you're not talking about like fine nuances of a face or like stretches of muscle, then generally you treat, let's say it's a character, you treat him as a stick figure, right? And then you decide which stick any particular vertices are attached to, and then you animate the sticks. And then you do this added, if you only did that, then you would see a bunch of rigid pieces moving. So you do this added extra thing where vertices can be attached to more than one stick, and then they'll kind of stretch between them as things happen. And that's it. That's basically what happens. So when we say skeletal animation, we're kind of talking about that stick figure. And the skeleton is basically two things. There's the nodes, which I feel like I don't have all the information here. Why don't I have a parent index on this node? Oh, I must store those separately. Anyway, so, you know, you sort of, often the hip bone is treated as the root or something, and so you have these hierarchical transforms that sort of control where the different things are relative to whatever the root bone is. And then every time you want to animate the guy, you can move each bone individually, and then you go from the root of the tree down to the leaves and multiply the transforms together, and then you have transforms for every bone, and then you blend those for each vertex. And often that blending operation is pretty expensive, so that's usually done on the shader. We will probably do it in software at first just to test our stuff, but we're not going to get to that tonight. Wow, this tea is strong. Okay. I don't usually drink green tea, but it seems to be the right thing for the context. Anyway, so that's the high level of what we're doing. And what I was going to do tonight was actually go to the other part of it that's maybe even simpler to think about, the animation data. And I just want to at least, my goal for tonight is to load the animation data. And that should be easy because it's a really stupid format. In the witness, we ended up having more animations than we thought we would, but let me try to find. Well, okay, so these are for the player character in the witness. So we'll just pick one of these, like the idle, which is sort of him standing there breathing. And it's a text format. So there's that. Right, and so what it does, it's a really stupid format. It's not only text, but it's sampled in time, so we don't even compress the animations. And that was fine because, like, look, animation compression is a relatively deep subject. It can be hard to do that and get a good compression ratio and ensure quality. So because the witness isn't going to have that many animations, we're just going to not compress them. And it turned out fine. But we probably will do some kind of compressed animation for this engine that I'm doing now. And we certainly will do a binary format. But yeah, for the witness, it was a text format and all this stuff. Hey, Maxwell Perlman again. Okay. Yeah, this here is from the witness's source code. It's a small part of it. This on the left is the animation file for the character idling, and all these crazy names are things that, you know, the person who made the mesh named them. These were probably made by the Biped plugin in 3D Studio Max, which is why they have such crappy names. And then we maybe added some nodes after that. And then for all of those, then we say, okay, here's the actual animation. And we just have a bunch of keyframes. And so what this is, I forget exactly what the format is, but I'm pretty sure this is like, this is position, right? I think this is a quaternion orientation. And then all of these are like the scale and other off-diagonal skew elements. And they're separated because it was sort of for compression purposes or even just clarity of reading the file purposes. Like, these are the things that are almost always going to change. You're probably doing something weird if these change or if they change a lot. So, but you'll notice we write them out for every single thing because we just wanted to, this isn't a super efficient format. We just wanted to make sure that we got the animation. And so every single keyframe, so this is kind of ridiculous. So let me go up to where it says keyframe. I'll search for it. Okay, so keyframe 50. Every keyframe is just one moment in time. So when we start to say keyframe 50, we're saying this is the guy frozen at a certain time, and this is bone 0, and this is bone 1, and this is bone 2. So this whole thing is just describing the pose of the player character all the way down to here. I don't know how many bones that is. It's like 30 or something, 40, 50. It's a lot of numbers. And so how many lines long? So this is a 30,000 line file for one animation. And that's only animated at 15 frames per second. So obviously if you have a lot of animation, you want a more efficient format. But our first step in being able to play animations is going to be to load this format exactly as it is. Okay. So I have a C++ version of it, and we're just gonna copy it over and delete stuff that is not used anymore. This actually goes way back to Happy Cake, if anyone knows what that is. That's what I wrote this code for. Or no, this actually may go all the way back to Barbaric Smackdown, some of it, which is a thing I did like 17 years ago. It's probably been revised since then. Actually, yeah, it's been substantially revised. Actually, it got a pretty serious rewrite for the witness, but some of the ideas go back that far. Okay. So let's just start. Let's start the way that we have started before, which is just making a new file. I'm going to go to Sokoban. I'm going to make a file sampled animation, and we're just going to load it. Success for tonight will just be if we can load a file and print it out, and then the stretch goal is going to be we could save it back again, and that'll be good. That's all I'm aiming for, because we started late and we're fine. All right, so I'm just going to do this, and we're going to save it, and we're going to include this. And we're going to add it to source control. So that's good. What the hell? Oh, do I need to recompile my compiler? This is weird. This is weirding me out. Why is my if developer not working? I was just working on this code at a cafe on my laptop. What is going on? Name mapping expression. Oh, because I forgot the semicolon. I should have said, did you forget a semicolon? All right. See, sometimes even just adding a file can be precarious. Okay, so we still run. That's great. We're going to translate this struct from C++. We're going to ignore the methods because we don't really have methods. And things will just get generally easier to read. And we're not going to have animation sound effects and sampled extra info. Because we just don't have that stuff. We didn't end up using that. This is from Barbaric Smackdown. I remember that. Okay. So we have sampled animation. And we've got a node info, and we're just going to say node info is an array of node info, right? And this, I think, can actually just be at file scope. We don't need to put it here. Each node has a string, has a parent index, and a pointer to an xform state, which we will show what that is in a bit. Hey Sean, how's it going, man? I'm doing animation in the new engine. It's basically what's happening, as you can see. Because we got to animate them characters. Okay, so frame rate is an int, and duration is a float 64, flag Z32, user index. I don't know if I use these. Do we even use these? Do we even lift? Let's put the name up top. Sound effects and sampled extra info are dumb, and let's get rid of debug and G matrix. I don't even remember what that is, but we'll find out. So this is much easier and informative to read and stuff. I don't remember where the samples go. Oh, it's in the node info. It's in the node info. Barbaric Smackdown is a game that I worked on that never quite made it to full release in like 2000 or 2001. It was sort of, if you ever played the old Commodore 64 and Apple II game Barbarian, where it was two guys like sword fighting, it was like that, but in 3D. Okay. So we've got a struct. Let's see if, oh, I'm going to need to declare xform state or it'll get mad. We'll just make it empty for a second. Okay, that compiles. Good, it compiles. All right, let's define xform state. Is that an animation channel? Okay, so xform state is basically this is all the information you need to make a transformation matrix, but it's factored in a certain way. So it's not actually, I think to make any arbitrary matrix, you need two scales. You need a pre-scale and a post-scale. But it's close to an arbitrary matrix. It's enough for our purposes. And but the reason we store it this way, instead of as a 4x3 or a 4x4 matrix, is because this is a space where you can interpolate and it makes more sense. Like you can, if you have two xform states and you want to interpolate between them, you can interpolate between the translations, so they'll move in space, and then interpolate between the orientations, so it'll rotate, and then interpolate between the scales, right? These are all quantities that make intuitive sense to a human being, whereas if you interpolate directly between two matrices, first of all, you're going to have to like then normalize the matrix in a weird way, and it's not going to look like anything physical exactly. It's going to look weird. Okay. So that's xform state. And then every one of these, I think this is really supposed to be an array. And we're going to make it an array so that the compiler can type check our indices and stuff. Still compiles. Okay, let's go back here. Combined state, we're going to use that. This is just what we get. It's also an array of xform state, but this is like after we've mixed together all our channel states and it's ready for rendering. And I just found when I put it in a separate struct, it's easier to understand that way. But you know what? We don't need this yet, so screw that. We're not going to use it. That's when we get to the actual animation player. Let's go back to sampled animation. Oh. Oh, it's in, yeah. All right, sampled. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything. Nothing there. Okay, animation player. All right. Nope. So now we're in this file where we load the animation. And we're just going to port that code over. Would that array of xform state best be SOA or AOS? Probably SOA, honestly. But it's unclear. I mean, the operations that we would perform on, actually, it probably doesn't matter. Honestly, it probably doesn't matter because when we operate on these, we're going to iterate over the entire thing and mix it with a different array's entire thing. So you're going to visit all the data either way, sequentially. Actually, I would probably do AOS in this case, probably. probably be slightly faster. Okay. So we're gonna go down to the top here and just, where do we open the file? Load sampled animation from a file. Okay, we're gonna take a file name instead. And we're just gonna kind of loosely translate and kind of ignore what's there. And kind of not ignore. So, you know, in a lot of code bases, people are like, oh, I'm going to load something, so I'm going to allocate an animation and return it. But in this engine, we want to fill in an existing animation because this is a resource that somebody may have a pointer to. And remember, we may want to hot load things. And one of the things we want to hot load is animations. So we write this to essentially refill the data in an existing animation. And we'll take a name. And we'll say OS or data, file data, just in case there's another data. Success is read entire file of file name. If no success, log, what did we end up doing for log? We log print in animation load, unable to load animation file, comma, file name, return false. Return false. I was going to talk about exceptions here. You're like, I can't believe people want exceptions for stuff like loading files. It's bananas. Okay, now do I have scanf? I believe I do. Well, let's define it. Well, let's just try and use it because I might have declared it in a header. I'm going to use cscanf for now. It's not a fast thing, and we shouldn't rely on libc for too long, but in the spirit of getting things done, we're going to use scanf. And later, we'll have our own native thing to call. Okay, instead of fgetSing all the time, I'm going to use the stuff that we did for the variables. I'm going to call like getNextLine and stuff. What was it called? What was it called? Consume next line, which gives us it bumps along our current file and returns a string, right? So I'm going to paste this over here so I remember it. We have eat spaces is another useful thing that we can call. And okay, so let's go to our Carl so we can see what we're looking at, right? So first line is frames per second. Second line is number of nodes in the animation. Third is samples per node, which is basically, this is basically how many frames are in the animation. So it's like a 8-9 second animation because it's 128 samples at 15 samples per second. Okay, so here's what we do. We will say how did we, I want to make sure I'm using this correctly. Consume next line. So we pass the file data gets modified, and then our line is found. Let's do exactly that. If found return short file error. We're just going to make a utility thing that says, whoops, it says short file error bool log print animation load animation file or whatever is too short to contain a valid animation. New line, file name, return false. Boom, done. Okay. So the first thing we're doing is we're getting the frame rate, the samples per node, and whatnot. Oh, shoot. Drat. I'm going to have to do something really evil here. Because we're calling scanf, and scanf wants a C string that's zero terminated, and our strings are not zero terminated. However, because we know that it's a valid line of a file with a new line at the end, I'm going to stomp a 0. This is going to be entertaining. Because we are calling scanf, which wants a zero terminated string, I am dropping a 0 over the new line. This is not a great idea and should be fixed post-haste. Okay, so now that I've said that I'm a bad person, we'll do this. So we'll say S32, and we'll say, yeah, success, 0 line of line, 0 line string line of line dot count equals 0. Why call it scanf? Why not make the more kosher thing and call that? Because I want to load an animation tonight. That's why. And then once this animation loads, then I'll have a test case for when I do write a scanf. And also, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's putting together a large game is an art of getting stuff going, you know, and if you rat hole to, you know, if you basically try to do a depth-first tree traversal of getting things done, you'll probably not get things done fast enough to figure out what you're doing, and then the project will die. Because when you don't get the higher level stuff done fast enough, your lower level decisions don't have enough context to guide them correctly, and it's very easy to go off course. So it's just, I've developed an instinct that works pretty well for me about when to go do the low level thing and make it right and when not to. And right now is, for me, a time not to. But, you know, I also will say that this is a matter of personal taste, and it's not like I'm doing the one right thing in this case. It's just, this is how I do it, typically. I will point out, though, that in the compiler source, I have jeffr printf, which I think Sean then adapted, but I don't know if this does scanf. I don't think it does. Yeah, so that's not going to help us. It's just going to print. All right. Well, we'll do it in steps. We'll use jeffr printf to replace printf, and then I'm sure we'll figure out a good way to do scanf. You don't really want to scanf anyway. Like, if you look at how I'm using scanf, I'm really just like A to I-ing it. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to call A to I here. So, oh, I'm in the wrong file. So I'm like, what am I looking at? Okay, let's get some momentum here. So we've got the frame rate. Anim frame rate is A to I line, right? And we'll maybe sanity check, rather than sanity checking every individual value as we load it, we'll just do that. We'll just do that as we, at the end possibly, right? Because that way you could sanity check things that you got from other means. Okay, so we're going to do that, and samples per node. Well, let's just cut out the middleman there. And for some reason, I guess this was a common problem. Let's make it 10. This is just like if someone's totally misconfigured their animation package. You don't want to like divide by 0 and blow up or something. Let's log it though. Let's log it. Why do I have that down here? That's stupid. Okay, animation load, animation file, had a frame rate of 0, setting to Okay, so now we're getting to real work. We're gonna read this matrix now, and that's sort of our I guess it's our root matrix that we concatenate everything else onto. So we're gonna do that. Whoops. Read matrix for the G matrix. File data. I kept anim frame rate equals 0 in the if statement. Oh. And we should put this up by the frame rate. Frame rate. You know, I somehow deleted the number of nodes. I don't know what what am I doing here? You got to load the number of nodes. Frame rate. What? Snap. This code is not the right code somehow. I might be looking at an old file that is rotted and somehow is not. Or I accidentally deleted something from this file, but it looks like I didn't. What is happening? That's so weird. That's so weird. Let me just search in Visual Studio and see what it says. Samples per node. Animation asset. Animation catalog. Animation load. Keyframed animation. I am looking at the wrong file, buddy. This is the file that I should be looking at. Wow. So somehow in the witness, we have two animation formats, and we shouldn't. That's very confusing. Like I said, this code goes back a while, and sometimes stuff like this happens. Whoops. Okay, well, let's go to keyframed animation. Oh, right, because Ignacio like rewrote it his style. Yeah, we're not going to do, I don't like the C++ization of this. He renamed all the variables and stuff, which some of it probably you could do, but all right. Ignacio C++ized it. All right, so we do need to get the node count. So num samples. Node count colon equals A to I line. All right. And then we read a matrix. And then we what is nodes? Node info. Right, so we're going to say node info is, well, what's my best way to do this? Because we want to allocate it all in one chunk, and I'm trying to think idiomatically what's the best way to do this in this language, because I don't do it too often. I mean, I guess I can do like the C++ way. New node count, node info, and then is it called anim dot node info equals node info. Okay, so we're doing that. I want to add some comments in here because this doesn't seem that readable, honestly. How did I... What is wrong with me today? I've still only got 2 lines of... I'm like living in the Twilight Zone right now. I can't even write code. Frame rate, node count, then number of samples. Oh, I'm going to take extreme measures here. What is... This is frame rate. No, that's... Okay. Guys, I'm having a weird time where my brain doesn't work. Have you ever had that? Okay, then I'm going to put a thing... Okay, this is node count. This whole thing... Well, that's what confused me, is I started doing all this stuff. Okay. That's node count. Why am I setting... I am so confused. I don't know what I did, guys. This is just like, all I'm trying to do is load 3 lines out of a text file, and my brain can't even. It's like I'm being dyslexic, but for code right now. Okay, look. There's 3 things we have to do. We have to load the frame rate first. Frame rate. We have to load the node count, and then we have to load the samples per node. This is so simple, it's like it's not even worth mentioning almost, right? Okay, and we're going to do this. We're going to do consume the line. If not found, we're going to 0 the line, and then we're going to say the frame rate is A to I, and this is our frame rate check. God, it's like I'm a noob. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We can factor that into something else later if we want. Right now, apparently, I can't handle much more. Okay, node count. Samples per node. God. Jeez. What is wrong with me? Don't answer that. Okay, you know what? Before we go any further, we're just going to make sure that this compiles. And we're going to make sure it works. You know what? We're going to make sure that this runs and returns us those 3 values out of the top of that, out of the top of that file. Okay, A to I, wanted, oh, right. We're definitely going to factor this into something. Or make our own A to I or something. Okay, it compiles. Oh, I've had so much sugar today, I can't have cupcakes. Oh my God, okay. This is a fun thing about streaming, because when you're having a bad day, everybody sees it. Okay, so now let us put Carl in the right place. So we're going to go to Sokoban, run tree, data, animations. We're going to add a new folder. New folder, animations. And we're going to do that. And we're going to add, where's Tortoise SVN? Add, yay. Okay, now we're going to go to main. And first thing in main, well, we'll set our working directory. In here, we'll say this is temporary. We'll make very clear that this is temporary. And we're going to load sampled animation into anim of animations Carl idle.keyframed animation. Right? Is that right? Animations Carl idle.keyframe animation. Good. And anim is going to be a sampled animation. And we're going to say anim is anim. Who knows what's going to happen? Oh, this is not in export scope. This is not in export scope, scope export. Who knows what's going to happen, folks? All right. Unable to load animation file, animations, Carl idle. Oh, it's data animations. It is data/animations. Hey, it has 128 samples and 56 nodes and a frame rate of 15. If that was all we had to do, I would be done, but sadly I'm not done because that doesn't contain any of the actual animation data. Okay, so this 0 line we're going to want to factor out because we're going to use it somewhere else. Now, we want to get matrix. Although, before the get matrix, was a blank line. No, there isn't a blank line. We're going to read the matrix. Yeah, the format has changed a little bit. So we're going to read the matrix, and then we're going to blank line. Okay. And then we have a bunch of node names, and then we look for a close bracket. That's a real interesting format, but that's how it is. All right, so read matrix into G matrix. What did I call it here? Read matrix. Okay. Right. So we're going to keep that because that part of the format is still valid. Read matrix. Let's delete combined state for now. Read matrix takes, well, it writes into a matrix 4 and it takes a file data is how we're going to do it this time, right? And return a bool about whether we got a matrix. And we're going to do the same consume next line. If not found, return false. If line.count and line of 0 is equal to close brace, return false because we're done with the matrices. Okay, instead, also we could have a star. Like I said, this is a really interesting format. Interesting. So now m.41 equals 0, 41, 42, 43, 44, 1. Okay. Oh, I didn't zero line. I should wrap zero line into my own version of consume, but whatever. Whatever, man. Scanf line. This stuff. Yeah, let's copy this. You know what? Well, okay. All we're doing is we're just sucking up the matrix members, and then we're gonna do this again. And we're going to do this again. And we're going to do all this again. I could have made this a loop or something, but you know, I just didn't do that. So we're doing it this way, and then 3, whoops, 3. Oh, we eat the blank line here. Okay. So we read this matrix. Very exciting. Let's do that. Let's just do that. We should be able to see the result in our thing. I'm redeclaring success. You can never have too much success unless your compiler gets angry at you. Then you can have too much success. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so here, okay, if this works, I'm going to do the thing where I do a zeroed consume, so I don't have to call zero line all the time, because that, oh, geez, I almost forgot. Because I'm interfacing with C, I've got to zero terminate all my strings. That's not what that error message was, though. That error message was, oh, and I have to say data. Because remember, this is like a language native string, whoops, a language native string. And C uses barbarian strings, and so we kind of have to talk down to it. Same thing here. We've got to go from our string to C string. M.11. Oh, and this is because we're loading doubles, but then we're casting. So I want to make those explicit casts. I don't know why I chose to load doubles, but I did, and I don't want to change our behavior with respect to the data. Okay, we got a matrix. Let's see, let's go to Carl. So we've got this stuff. And we've got 1, is 0.1, 0, 0, 0.14, 0.14, right, 0, 1. Okay, so we're good. We are good. We got it all. This is not a disaster. Do I think I'll add implicit conversion to barbarian strings? You can't actually implicit convert, unless it's a literal. If it's a literal, you could, but man, I don't know if it's worth doing that. Because, you know, I'm doing this more often than you actually would. Like with a real standard library, you wouldn't be calling scanf, right? That would be stupid. Right, so if it's a literal, you can add the 0, but if it's a random string, you're not going to have a 0. So you'd have to allocate and copy, which I guess could be an implicit conversion, but it's not like what would you call it? It's a conversion with substantial performance penalty. Okay. Zeroed consume. Let me copy the signature. SB is consume next line of SP and 0 line. If B 0 line SP return S, B. Right, let's, yeah. And then take out all our 0 lines, because we baked that in. See if that works. It still works. Okay. It's almost like we could program. Now, what am I even doing? I'm paging down the wrong file. Here, we have node names and parents. And let me just look at where this goes on keyframed animations. We have the XForm states, we have the nodes, and the nodes, I don't know where his nodes are declared. Ignacio, why did you make my code harder to read? It's so weird because, like, a lot of people would find this perfectly fine to read, but my brain just shuts down as soon as just something about this, I don't know. It's just like his style is different enough from mine that, like, just, like, where is node declared? I don't even know. Oh, it's there. Like, my brain just isn't even working. It, like, has to be there. Okay, so it's just a name and an index of the parent, right? Just, we already have that, I think. That shows you how much fluid is going to my brain today that I couldn't even see node right there. Okay, so we call that node info here, and where's our node info? It's got a name and a parent index. Good. So now we're going to iterate over the nodes and read the names and parent indices. Now I'm curious. So we just read the whole damn. Wait, what? Okay. This must be a case where we change the format a bit, because this factoring of the code doesn't make much sense. Let's just read the node names and stuff. So we know how many nodes there are. I'm going to take node count out here. I'm going to assign it. I'm going to say 4, 0, or 1, no, 0, node count -1. We're going to have a name. and a parent name is copy string line. We don't need zeroed anymore for this. For this we do. Parent index is A to I line. Now, we're just going to say node info it dot parent index equals parent index. Did I even name these the right thing? Dot name equals name. Is that right? Nope. Line dot data. Okay. Let's assert. So in the other code, we were asserting that we were reading the right lines. We don't need to go full hog on. Oh, where's Carl? So what we're doing is we're reading. Oh, node name parent. Node name parent. Oh, geez, this is goofy. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we gotta skip all this stuff before we get to the thing. So I'm just gonna really cheesily say. Well, no, I'm going to say, we have a starts with, don't we? Let me close all these windows. I have a starts with procedure. Or is it begins? Starts with. Let's put that in the library. People are going to want that. So I'm going to say, let's go back to Carl. I'm going to say assert starts with line node name colon space and then advance line by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we can copy the string. And down here, we've got to assert starts with line parent colon space. Advance it by 8. See what that does. Hey, our asserts didn't go off. Let's then, after all this is done, we're going to say for anim.node.info print the index of the name parent equals whatever. It index it dot name it dot parent index. Hey, look, we got the data out. It all says what we think it should say, etc. All right. It's a good thing I picked an easy thing to do tonight, because I am not at my best. I will tell you that. Okay, so now we're going to consume the next line. And we're going to assert. This really, really if we want to check for corrupt files, we would replace these asserts later with error messages that are nicer, and I probably should do that later. But for now, I mean, because honestly, we're going to change this format probably because it's not that great of a format. So yeah, line.count and line sub 0 is equal to this character. Okay. Now, it's just keyframes all the way down for the number of keyframes. So now we go for 0 to anim.num samples, right? Then we read a line And again, it's a junk line that starts with a thing. Then for, let's call this, let's do for I, for j, no, for s, sample index, for matrix index goes to 0 to, what is it called? It's the number of nodes. So node count minus 1. We're just going to, I'm just going to read the matrix and throw it away for now. M matrix 4, read matrix, nm.g matrix file data, throwing it away, and then after all that, we do this again. Whoops. There better be another close brace. And we do that number of keyframe times, and then we're done, and then that's the whole file. And all this extra sampled info and debug data down here we're ignoring. We're not doing that. So we're deleting all that. Let's see if that works. If that works and we don't assert, then we're good. Then we just have to store the matrices. Oops. Oh geez, what did I do? Oh, I did that. I hope someone caught that on the stream. That's a thing that I'm not sure what my policy is going to be. All right. Hey, look, it didn't assert. It loaded the whole file. And now let's put the matrices in the file. Now let's put the matrices in the file. We read the matrix. What is, nobody tell you what the matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. Where do these matrices go? Well, let's look at the data structures again. We have a node. And so we say M is the address of nm.nodeinfo. Wait. Yeah. Matrix index. Let's call that node index for consistency. Wait, I didn't even put the right thing. This should be M. That's the danger of copy and pasting, people. M is the address of this. Wait, I'm not supposed to read a matrix. I'm supposed to read an X-form state. How did this appear to work? Oh, because a matrix and an X-form state are the same number of lines. That's funny. That's funny. I did the wrong thing. I did the wrong thing. This is an X-form state. And states light sub sample index. We have to allocate the storage for this. And we can do that up here. States light is new X-form state sub nm.num samples and anim.node.info. Let's just give it a name. Node is anim.node.info of it. Node's name gets set, and the node's parent index gets set, and the node's states. States light is a funny name. It's just because it was relative to some other heavier animation states that I had. Okay. So now we're going to need read xform state. Unable to parse a statement in block context. What does that even mean? What did I do? That is definitely an error message that needs to be improved. So something is confusing it. For some reason, the dash 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 is confusing the parser. Oh, wow. I need to fix that threaded error message. Okay, well, clean up. The dash 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 is confusing. I don't know why that is. That's fine. It's not going to matter for our purposes today. Oh, because I feel like I'm programming in C++ is why, and I'm putting the array in the wrong place. That's not how we do things in this town. Okay, so we just need to define read xform state. You recommend IQE as a text-based model animation format? Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, though, we just want a format that does exactly what we want to do, probably. And what I'm doing now is simple enough to modify and whatnot, so it's probably fine. But let me go to, what am I even doing? What am I even doing? Dude, my brain just doesn't work today. This is what happens. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm defining read xform state. I was going to go to load animation, or animation load, to see if I did anything special there, but I don't think so. I think it's a lot like read matrix. Yeah. All right. It's a lot like read matrix, but different. And that's why we were able to load the thing. All right. Where's read matrix? Now we have read xform state. It's going to be the same thing. Not that different. Not that different. We are not that different, you and I. Okay, so you know what? We also probably want this. Because this is a very strict format. We're not expecting a blank line when we decide to read a matrix or an xform state. So if we get one, it means we're out of sync with the file format and we should kill it. So it's not really supposed to be a human editable format in a nice way. It's just readable. Okay, so we've got a quaternions and translation and various scales, shear components. All right. right? That's how we did it. Yep, and we don't forget to do this. And we take the transform elements, and let's assert that success equals 3. And we'll get the line again. Wait, what did I just do? What? I just have to undo this for, yeah, okay. Dude, my brain is, let me just say some things about my brain and what it is and isn't doing. I feel like in the past couple days of streaming a lot, I've basically used all of whatever brain chemical is required for thinking while, or streaming while programming. Okay, so this is an X-form state. And then here's the scale shear, but I need to load the line. So translation. You know what? So translation, orientation, and scale shear. Okay, so this is line.data and \0, and we're gonna, okay, that's fine. And then I'm ignoring most of that scale shear data right away. And then blank line. And I've got to get a new line here. Okay. So maybe that'll work. I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting a thing. What am I forgetting? I had a next thing that I was going to go do. Yeah, so the reason this succeeded, well, I don't know why it succeeded, honestly. I'm a little worried. We're going to have to print out our results and make sure they're right. That is for sure. Okay. Oh yeah, so I was going to do this. We don't have quite the same constructor syntax. Let's see what happens. Pointer versus non-pointer. Oh yeah, because I got to put the dot data. The dot data for barbarian strings. Barbaric smackdown strings. Okay, and then we need to, so I don't know why I decided to load in doubles. I guess it's because it's too verbose. We'll just do this. I guess it's because I don't really trust like scanfing and precision and stuff. So it's like we'll write out more precision than we need. Was the idea. Okay, well it didn't assert, which is interesting. So let's just print out all the X-form states that we read. I love how good the printf is in this language. Well, this should correspond to the last xform state in the file. Let's see. 0.104739 minus 1.121. Yep. 0.31 orientation. 0.6 is minus 7. 0.06 and scale is 0.1.1.1. So I believe that's it. We have successfully loaded the animation, and so that is the main goal of the stream. But because I'm doing so awesome and my brain is just razor sharp right now, we're going to be able to save out the file as well. We're going to reverse this and save it out, but first I'm going to take a break and make some tea. And are there any questions on the wonderful stuff that I just did, the pure rocket science of loading a text file full of floating point numbers? The tea is warming up. Is it just me, or is there a screenshot stuck on the stream from the game? I think that's just you. What's it feel like having parsed text files faster than practically any compiler before? I don't know. I think there's probably some other compilers that are fast. I mean, computers get faster all the time, right? They're still getting a little bit faster, even though Moore's law is mostly over. So everybody should be parsing text files faster than anyone ever did before, because computers are faster than they ever were before. The fact that people aren't parsing text files so amazingly fast is a sign that they're doing something really wrong. What is, let me pop in on the stream. Amazingly fast is a sign that they're doing something. That's weird. Okay. Let me try to fix this. How long has that been that way? Oh, the whole time it's been this way, I guess. Or as long as I've been running, oh, I see. As long as I've been running the game. So what just happened is in OBS, things got reordered, and whenever I'm running the game, it just comes up over the camera. I just fixed it. Yes. Okay, so any other questions? Let me get the tea. Any other questions? Everybody says we have the same kettle. Questions, questions, questions. Can I even save a file right now? I don't think I can. Oh, it's string builder, not string buffer. I'm getting ready to save this to a file, but I'm hoping, oh, there's questions. Are you planning anything unique or neat with this animation system, or is this a pretty standard implementation? Sorry if you covered that while going through it. Well, I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. It'll just be more like if you want to know how a game animation system works, then I'm going to go through all the building blocks one by one. So right now is a file. This is a file full of animation data, right? There'll be at least 3 or 4 other streams because we've got to play back the animation to a certain time. We have to mix it with other animations, and then we have to render the mesh skinned to the resultant animation. And at this rate that I'm going, that's at least 3 more streams. Who knows? Return bool from save sampled animation. Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, no, because this shouldn't be a bool. This should be a... Well, yeah, okay. Because, right, because we can fail by... We can fail by failing to open the file. Okay, we init the builder and... we're going to say okay, so I'm going to say P is going to be print to builder, so I have a quick way to say things. It's generally much easier to write files than to read them. So let's go back and just look at Carl, and we're gonna write out this whole file. It may seem like this is a slightly complicated format because of how long it took me to load it, but it's really not. It's really not. So we're gonna say P builder frames per second, new line, comma. Anim dot frame rate. Boom, boom, boom. Nodes. See how much quicker this is? Samples per node. anim.node_info.count and anim dot where did we store this? Num samples. And then we will say, we won't even make a print matrix function. We're just going to do this. We're going to say p builder. We're going to say m. Whoops, insert 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So that's fine. Look how much easier this is. 4, 0, 2, so node count is anim.node_info.count. 4, 0 to node count -1. We're going to say print node name :space % new line, and well, we'll get this node pointer, right? Node pointer. Oh, no, I don't even need to do this. This is dumb. I'm just going to say for by pointer anim.node_info, because we have good for loops. It name, and then parent it parent index. Look how much easier and how much less code this is. It's crazy. Okay, so we got through all that. So much easier to save than load. Okay, so we got our close brace. Now, for every sample index, we say print star keyframe % new line sample index. Okay, so now we're down here, and we want to print each xform state. We're not even going to make a function for that either. We're going to say print %, p.x, p.y, p.z, p is x.position, q is x.orientation. Don't forget w. And then s is s.scale, and we're going to have to print some zeros. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and something. Let's not forget the new lines. I hope someone caught that in the stream. I hope someone caught that in the stream. New lines. S.x, S.y, S.z, and then new line. Oh, not print though. P. Okay. We've got a P. That's what I'm saying. And then we do another close brace. And I'm pretty sure that's it. I think we're done. That's the whole thing. It took me hours to load and like 10 minutes to save. Yeah, I got to pass the file. Oh, no, this doesn't take a file name. Pointer versus non-pointer. Let's just take a pointer up here. Oh, and then we init builder. Identifier it's line 292. Why did I do that? Position is not, is called translation, I guess. Attempt to call a non-procedure. Oh, because I named something P. T. You can't name something P. I hope someone caught that. And you also can't. Yeah. Someone is asking, what variable name restrictions are there in the code you just wrote? You have a float called S32. No, I don't. Where do I have a float called S32? Oh, I do. That's funny. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the thing. So when you say S32, as in that's the type of an integer, that is just an identifier, and right now, and this may be ill-advised, but right now you can shadow that identifier with your own stuff. So that's all that's happening is I'm making a new meaning for the identifier S32. I can't really declare anything as S32 in this scope, but I don't. So it's up in the air whether I'm going to have that happen in the final language, because it's actually faster not to do that, because if you ever declare, right, okay, yeah, Emacs even knows it's a type, right? It's faster if you don't let people shadow it, because then anytime the parser sees that, it knows what it is, right? And you don't have to like look it up. So that might be the way that it goes. Okay, so that's not our saving. This is our old print from the load. So let's delete that. Let's delete that. That was just this line right here. So we've gotten rid of that. Let's go to main. And instead of saying anim is, we're going to say save sampled animation. Haha. I accidentally returned a bool instead of a string. Why did I do that? Okay, so for string builder, what did I call getting the results? Builder to string. Return builder to string builder. Hey, look. We printed out the whole thing. I mean, if I do that to a file, right? There's our output. Oh, it looks like I put the blank line around the matrix in the wrong place. It's supposed to be after. I put it before. So that's no good. But everything else looks good. You know, I'm not printing as many zeros, but we don't need those. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, folks. So let's fix that. And then we'll actually make it save in a file. We'll make it save in the file. That new line goes there. Let me comment this out so I can save just real quick. Okay. This is really pretty good. See, oh, I haven't been following the chat very well. What data files will this be able to interpret, or is this is only our own custom stupid animation format. This isn't going to load anything else but our stupid format. And our stupid format is exported by a plugin that Ignacio wrote. So like if you have the right 3D Studio Max plugin, you get this. Or you can fill out one of these structs with animation data, you know, procedurally or something, and then you can call save sampled animation, and that'll, you know, generate. Look how short that is. That's why we did this file format, is because like this page is all it takes to write that format. My Emacs font is a little bigger than usual, so it's slightly over the page. But you get what I'm saying. It's actually a very simple format. Yeah. But it does not correspond to anyone else's format. If you are exporting animation from an FBX format, why not export the format directly? Usually those formats are very complicated and have a lot of stuff that you don't want. That's why. And or actually when I started, you couldn't get documentation on that kind of format, so good luck. You'd have to reverse engineer it. And there's really no reason to anyway. So like so this format that we just parsed anyway, this is for development. It's so that people can, you know, if something funny is happening in the game, the fact that the animation file's in text means you can go look at it and see if something looks funny, right? Which is useful. When a game ships to people who are going to play it for real, you wouldn't use a format like this. You'd use a binary format. I mean, the witness didn't really, I don't think. Ignacio might have squeezed one in at the end, but you know, we just didn't have that many animations, so we didn't care. But for a game with more animations like this one, you want a binary format, but that binary format is also not necessarily what you and the artists are looking at from day to day and stuff, because it's easier to read a text format. So you want both. And a very simple format is even easier for a human to understand. So, you know. Leading space character for keyframe entries. Leading space character? What? Oh. Sure, yeah, okay. I mean, it would work without it, but... All right. So this is pretty good. I now want to figure out if I have a way to save a file. Because usually we read files. So we have a read entire file. Okay, we have file open. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. So here we go. Instead of printing this, we're going to say file open, file name true, and file, comma, success is that. If not success, log print, save animation, unable to open file, whatever for writing, comma, file name, return false. Otherwise, How do I write to a file? File write. File write. File. This should just take a string at this point. I don't know why I did data in length, but whatever. S.count or S.data. S.count. Oh, I do have a version that just takes a string. It's overloaded. Success equals, if not success, write failed for file whatever. Saving animation. After especially trying to deal with Dr. Memory today, which gave me one of the worst error messages I've seen in a long time, I feel like let's provide an abundance of information. Okay. Okay, and let's go to main, and we'll say we're going to load this file, and we're going to save it to new Carl idle dot keyframed animation, and we'll put it in the same folder. File write wants a pointer to a file. Let's change that. Oh no, we better take a pointer. Okay. Yeah. All right. Boom. Hey. And let's go to Carl idle, and let's hope there's in the same folder, new. No. That's the wrong Carl idle. That's not the one in Sokoban. We got to go to Sokoban, run tree, data, animations, Carl idle. And then we'll go to new Carl idle. Look, it's the same. Oh, I didn't put a space in front of the matrix here. I did in front of the later stuff. But look, they match. How good is that? Look at that. I don't write the same amount of stuff down here, but that's fine. Isn't that great? Let's jump to the end. Look at that. They're both 29,049 lines long. Isn't that great? Isn't that an efficient file format? We have really succeeded here today. That's something. Let's put in front of our matrix, we got to put the space. No one can tell you what the space in the matrix is. You have to. Did I close it? There we go. Now there's even a space in front of the matrix. Nobody can tell you what the space in the matrix is. Doesn't RAD Game Tools have file formats that are specifically stripped down for games to use? Any thoughts on using something like that? Yeah, they do. And if you really want something with serious engineering in it, then you can license those and pay them for it. We license several things from RAD Game Tools. For The Witness, it didn't seem necessary. We just used my old animation system. And for this new game, I sort of feel like we've got enough of an animation system that we'll be fine. Part of what I want to do by building this engine is I want to be able to give it out to people for free and give them stuff that's in the new language and cool and uses the new language features and all this good stuff. And if I can give people an animation system, that's great. If I can't because I'm licensing one and it's just a third-party library I'm plugging into, that's, it's less optimal in terms of the open source part of things here. Dude, type theory, you're obnoxious. Look, go take your type theory and shove it up your academia, whatever. I will tell you right now that success Boolean is the error code checking of champions. Did I need to close the file at the end of writing to it? Actually, yes. Thank you. OBS thing is back. Why is it back? Video capture device is on top. What? According to the thing I'm looking at now, that's not true. My webcam should be on top. Game appears above code. I don't know why, because look, you guys can see my OBS screen. It says video capture device is in the top slot. Game capture is second. Let's get rid of game capture, because we really only need display capture right now anyway. Maybe that's confusing it. Let me see. Yeah, maybe sort of capturing the same thing twice was confusing it. I don't know. It looks fine. Okay. All right, well, that was good. That's one of the building blocks that we need to have an animation system. It is one of the simpler building blocks, but file formats can be annoying sometimes, so it's fine. It's good that we hit no major roadblocks apart from me being, my brain not really functioning like an intelligent human being's brain today. So we could just do questions for a little bit again, and then I'll end the stream. I could be talking to myself, it's true. Oh, you guys are saying that it was blocking the editor, not the IC. So you guys couldn't see the fine comparison of the files, I guess. Look, the files. Anyway, that's all we were saying. Is there any difference between sampled and keyframed animations, or is keyframe just reimplementation? There's just very small changes that don't really matter much. At one point, Ignacio sort of built out an asset compilation system that's the formal way that the Witness engine does a two-phase thing, where phase one is like the developer assets that are not that serious, and phase two is the crunched down assets that you actually load. And you know, that idea happens for almost all asset types. So like texture maps, shaders, animations probably, audio, all that stuff, right? So he at some point built the system that organizes that. And when he did that, he needed a sort of compiled down version of the animations. And I guess he wrote a binary version of it at that point. I actually have little doubt that he did that. But it's probably not that different from this format. It's just a straightforward transliteration into binary of what we just did. And, you know, when he did that, so in my original format, I didn't save the number of nodes. And probably what I did is I started counting these. And then when we got to the